Do you know that there are other ways you can write your fractions? One of those ways is to write your fractions in ratio. Hello, welcome to mathematics class on ratio. You'll be having fun in this class by learning what ratio is and how to share quantities using ratio. Now, what is ratio? Ratio is the comparison of quantities. And what type of quantities can you compare? Just think about that for 2 seconds. You can share different quantities. You can share the number of persons. You can also write the amount of money in ratio. You can also write quantities in fraction as ratio. We can share different parts of a whole using ratio. We can also write two different quantities in ratio of each other. Now let's look at the first illustration here. We have 3 persons. We have 1 person. This is an example of quantities that can be written in ratio. So if I have 3, I have 1 here, it means it is 3 to 1, which means 2 dots are used to represent ratio. So anytime you find 2 dots in 2 quantities or comparing 2 numbers together, it is a ratio sign. So this is 3 to 1, 3 ratio 1. The next one is the amount of money we have here. In this container, we have a bag of dollars. In the second container of scale, we have 2 bags of dollars, and that is 1:2. Now, if you look at this shape, it is a whole divided into 6 parts. And out of the 6 parts that it is being divided into, 1 part is shaded yellow and the rest of 5 parts are shaded white, and that will be 1:5. So this is an example of ratio. We also have this. These two can be expressed in ratio. If you look at the shape very well, you will see that it has been divided into different parts. So this is also a way to express ratio. Now look at the next illustration. It's also a scale trying to measure the height of the image. So you can also express ratio by comparing 2 different quantities, that is comparing the figure in height and the weight of the person. So let's continue learning ratio. Do not forget I said ratio is the comparison of quantities, and these are examples of ratio, and this is how to write ratio. You have 16 to 9, 5:8, 2 to 7, 4 to 3, 2/3, 1/5, because ratio is written as fraction and fraction is written as ratio. So since we are dealing with ratio, when we come across fraction, we can rewrite as ratio. Okay, now this is 16:9. What can 16:9 be expressed at? I told you at the beginning of the class that you can write your fractions as ratio and ratio as fraction. So 16:9 will be written as fraction, that is 16/9. And at this point, it is not yet as simple as possible, because when we say you express ratio as simple as possible, it means you can reduce that ratio to its lowest term. And if the ratio is already in its lowest term, just multiply the 2 quantities by 2. But in this case, we need to reduce to its lowest term. So what will divide 16 and 9? We do not have a factor for 16 and 9. It means this ratio is actually in its lowest term. So what we need to do is just to multiply by 2. So if I multiply this by 2, the numerator and the denominator by 2, I will have 32 over 18. So 5:8 can also be written as 5 over 8, okay? So this is just an example of how to express ratio as simple as possible. 2:7 can be written as 2 over 7. 4:3 can be written as 4 over 3. 2 over 3, now writing ratio, is 2:3. Then 1 over 5 can be written as 1:5, or 1:5. Now, let's learn expressing ratio as simple as possible properly. In the previous slide, I explained how to express ratio as simple as possible, but now let's dive into it properly. Now, 40 minutes to 60 minutes, express it. It is a ratio. Express it as simply as possible, as simple as possible. You know, in some of the textbooks, you see expressing ratio as simply as possible and also as simple as possible. So 40 minutes to 60 minutes can be written in ratio 40 to 60 because they are in the same unit. But if they are not in the same unit, we have to convert the larger unit to the lower unit. I hope you got that. Now let's continue. So expressing this ratio as simply as possible, we have 40 minutes to 60 minutes. So we express as fraction. So that is 40 over 60. Reduce to its lowest term. 0 cancels 0. 2 divides 4 is 2. 2 divides 6 is 3. Which means 2 is a common factor of 4 and 6. So at this point, we have 2 over 3. Writing it as ratio, that is 2:3. Now, the next one is 3 centimeters to 7 meters. So we will be having 3 centimeters ratio 7 meters. So what you're going to do is to convert the larger quantity to the smaller quantity. Centimeters is smaller than meters. And you all know, and if you can remember, that 100 centimeters make 1 meter. So if 100 centimeters make 1 meter, how many centimeters make 7 meters? That will be 700 centimeters. So that will be 3 centimeters is to 700 centimeters. So let's express it as fraction. So we will have 3 centimeters over 700 centimeters. And let's take out the units because they are already the same. They are in the same unit. So 3 over 700 will be the simplest we can express the ratio, this ratio into. So that will be ratio 3:700. Now, the next one, let's move and solve the third example. I hope you are ready and I hope you are enjoying the class. Now we have 300 kobo to 4 naira. 300 kobo to 4 naira. Express this ratio as simple as possible. And don't forget, I said if they are not in the same unit, you have to convert to the same unit. So that's 300 kobo is to 4 naira. In mathematics, and as we all know, in the Nigerian currency, 100 kobo makes 1 naira. So if 100 kobo makes 1 naira, how many kobo makes 4 naira? And that will be 300 kobo is to 400 kobo, because 100 kobo makes 1 naira, that is 400 kobo would make 400 naira. So now let's express this as simply as possible. We have 300, so kobo takes out kobo, they are in the same unit, over 400. So 0 cancels 0, 0 cancels 0, we have 3 over 4. Does 3 and 4 have a common factor? No. It means 3 over 4 becomes 3:4, and that is the lowest term. Now let's move on. Let's learn finding the missing ratio. How do we find the missing ratio in a given expression? Now, the first thing you're going to do is to express that ratio as fraction. Express the expression as fraction. You know, this is an expression. We have to express it as fraction. Then the next step is for you to cross multiply, then collect like terms. Now, This is 15 is to 25 equals 3 is to b. So that will be 15 expressed as fraction first. So 15 to 25 will be 15 over 25 equals 3 to b will be 3 over b. Good. Now, after expressing as fraction, cross multiply. That is cross multiply, meaning that multiply the quantity of the left by the quantity to the right. So now 25 multiplies 3, then 15 would multiply b. So this is what we call cross multiplication. So we will have 15 times b. So we will have 15 times b equals 25 times 3. 25 times 3. Good. Now, at this point, we are going to collect like terms, meaning that b is an expression. B is a term. 15 is a term. 25 and 3 are terms. So we have to move the like terms. Like terms means terms that are together, that are the same, terms that look alike. That's the meaning of like term. So we will be left with b because we have to find the missing ratio, which is the value of b. Now we'll be left with b on the left hand side, moving 15 to the right hand side. Now when 15 is on the left, it is multiplying. When 15 goes to the right hand side, it will divide. So whenever a term is crossing the equal sign to the other side, it will do the opposite of what it was doing on the previous side. So which means 15 will divide. So therefore we have 25 times 3 divided by 15. So now let's reduce this to the lowest term. Now what can divide? 3 can divide 15. So 3 into 3 is 1. 3 into 15 is 5. Now 5 will divide 25. 5 into 5 is 1 and 5 into 25 is 5. So if you look at it very well, we have 5 times 1 and the denominator is also 1. So the answer is 5. It then means that the missing ratio, which is b, is equal to 5. Let's move on. Another example on finding the missing ratio. We have y is to 6 equals 45 is to 9. So first thing you need to do is to express as fraction. So that will be y over 6 is equal to 45 over 9. This is fraction. And the next thing you do is to cross multiply. Cross multiply. So this is how to cross multiply. Y times 9, that is y times 9, which is also known as 9y, equals 45 times 6. So you have cross multiplied. The next thing is to collect like terms. Bring together numbers that look alike. So we'll be left with y. And when a number is crossing from one side, crossing the equal sign to the other side, it will do the opposite. 9 is multiplying here. When 9 gets to the other side, it will divide. So that will be 45 times 6 divided by 9. So at this point, we can reduce to the lowest term. So what can divide? 9 can divide 45. Yes, 9 into 9 is 1. 9 into 45 is 5. So 5 times 6 will be 30. It then means that y, which is our missing ratio, is equal to 30. Okay? Now, the next example is 1 to 3 equals 6 is to m. Let's express as fraction. So that will be 1 over 3 equals 6 over m. And at this point, after expressing as fraction, you should cross multiply. This is how to cross multiply. So m times 1 is the same thing as m, or 1 times m is the same thing as m, equals 3 times 6. That is m is equal to 18, because 3 times 6 will give us 18. I hope you're enjoying the class. Now let's move on. Sharing ratio. At this point, we need to learn how to share ratio, or how to share quantities in given ratio. Now, share $56 in the ratio 4 to 3, which means that 4 is the first share, while 3 is the second share. So amount to be shared. Amount to be shared is $56. Always write out this for your solution. Then sharing ratio. In what ratio will it be shared? It will be shared in the ratio 4:3. Now let's start the solution proper. What we are going to do first is to add up the ratio. The ratio is 4:3. Now you say sum of ratio. Sum of ratio means add it up. So that will be 4 plus 3, which is equal to 7. That is the total number of ratio. Do not forget I said the first share is 4. The second share is 3. Now let's find the first share using the first ratio. The first ratio is 4. It will be divided by the total sum of the ratio, which is 7. Then you will multiply this fraction by $56. Okay? Then reduce to its lowest term. So 7 can divide 56. 7 into 7 is 1. 7 into 56 is 8. So 4 times 8 is 32, which means the first share is $32. The first share is $32. Now let's find the second share. You can pause this video, find the second share on your own, then replay the video and see if you are right. Now the second share is 3. That will be 3 over the total number of ratio, which is 7, multiplied by $56. So 7 will divide 56. 7 into 7 is 1. 7 into 56 is 8. So 3 times 8 is 24. So the second share is $24. Good. Now let's move on. Share $36 in the ratio 5:4. Which means that 5 is the first ratio, 4 is the second ratio. Now, straight away, I move on to the analysis. That's the solution. Now, the first thing you do is to find the sum of ratio. Sum of ratio, that is 5 plus 4. 5 plus 4 is equal to 9. Now, what will be the first share? The first share, using the first ratio, 5, divided by the sum of ratio, 9, times what is being shared is $36. $36. Good. Now, 9 can divide 36. 9 into 9 is 1. 9 into 36 is 4. That's $4. So $4 times 5 will give $20. So this is the first share. You can see how simple it is. Now the next one is the second share. The second ratio is 4. So we'll be using the second ratio for the second share divided by the total number of ratio, which is 9, times the item that is shared is $36. Okay? Now let's divide. The same thing as over 1. Yes, we can also have it as over 1. 9 into 9 is 1. 9 into 36 is 4. That's $4. $4 times $4 is equal to $16. So this is the first share and this is the second share. The next one is for you to share 400 grams in the ratio 3:7. You know, I told you that we can share different quantities. So this is weight. Now we are sharing weight. Now, what is to be shared is 400 grams in the ratio 3:7. This is the first ratio. This is the second ratio. Now, the next thing we'll do is to find the sum of ratio. That is adding up the first and the second ratio together. That is 3 plus 7, which is equal to 10. Now, let's find the first share. The first ratio is 3 divided by the total number of ratio, which is 10, times 400 grams, because 400 grams is the item we are sharing. So you can see it's very easy. 0 cancels 0 because 400 divided by 10 is same as 40. So 40 grams times 3 gives us 120 grams. The next one is to find the second share. Find the second share. The second ratio is 7 divided by the total number of ratio times the item shared, which is 400 grams. Now 400 divided by 10 is 40. So 40 grams times 7 is 280 grams. Good. I hope you're enjoying this class. It's fun to do mathematics. Next example, Esther and John share the sum of $4,000 in the ratio 3:5. Find the amount they received. Find the amount Esther received. So this should be Esther. It was an error. Good. Find the amount Esther received. Now, item to be shared is $4,000. Item to be shared is equal to, item to be shared is equal to $4,000. Now, ratio, in what ratio? In the ratio 3:5. Now, what we do is to find the sum of ratio. So the sum of ratio is equal to 3 plus 5, which is equal to 8. Good. Now, what is Esther's share? That is all we are looking for. We are not sharing, we are not looking for the first and the second share. What is Esther's share? Now, if you look at ratio 3:5, Esther's share is the ratio 3. Esther, that's E. Then John's share is the ratio 5. That's John. So for us to find Esther's share, we only need to share it as the first share. That will be the first share, which is Esther's share. So that's all we need to do. So now Esther's share. Esther's share is equal to 3 over the sum of ratio is 8 times $4,000 times $4,000. So quickly, let's reduce this to the lowest term. 4,000 divided by 8. 8, or let's take it one after the other. 4 can divide 8. So 4 divides 8, you have 2. 4 divides 40, you have 10. Okay? We are still going to use the 2 zeros. Then 2 divides 2 is 1. 2 divides 10 is 5. So we have 500. Okay? So $500 times 3 is equal to $1,500. And it can also be Naira. I know that's why I'm using Naira. So that is $1,500. So this is how to share ratio between different quantities, or how to share different quantities using the ratio that has been given. So for example, if you have 3 ratio, which is like 3:5:4, you're also going to add up all the ratio. You will have first share, second share, and third share. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this class. Do not forget what ratio is. I have more for you. Don't go away. Have fun.